Remember, living this life without Jesus Christ. Remember, it is vanity. Vanity, yes. Remember, it is vanity. Vanity, yes. Remember, it is vanity. Vanity. Remember, it is vanity. Vanity, yes. Remember, it is vanity. Hallelujah. Just remember whatever you're doing today. Damn, have no mercy for anything, no, that is living on this earth. Anything that is living. Damn, have no mercy. No, 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 no. Anything that is living.
Hi, this is how we take this wonderful opportunity to welcome you back to Focus on Liberia. I am the West African correspondent, Edward Amara. Welcome to this latest weekend edition. I am sorry, I want to apologize for not coming to you with any news throughout this week because I was not feeling good into my health, but thank God now I have fully recovered and I decided to maybe come with you with major event that happened over the 7 days that I couldn't reach out to you. This is the first time in the 7 days time that I have did not come with any latest information, at least to abreast our wonderful listeners on things that are actually happening on the continent. Focus on Liberia uses this particular opportunity to ensure that we come to you with news, latest development on the continent, things that actually affect the continent. Of course, watching at the dynamism that we have in Africa, we must understand that many times we encounter issues, news develop, maybe just within the twinkling of an eye, we realize that a lot of things will just like happen. So what Focus on Liberia normally does is to ensure that we come to you with all the necessary details, things that can actually keep you on track, things that will help you to draw Africa closer to you, and you also should also become closer to Africa. Because if you watch out our situation, watch out our things that happens on the continent, almost within our vicinity, many times queer news happen, things that maybe you and I could not expect that this could be like a normal event happening, but normally those things happen. So we use this particular opportunity to ensure that we come to you with authentic news that maybe can help us to shape our thoughts about the continent, news that can actually enable us to think positively and see how we can resolve our issues as citizens, and how we can definitely ensure that all of these things maybe they take place and we have effective and efficient control over them. Thank you and welcome once more. Feel free to hit the button and share it everywhere, wheresoever you are, because this is an important news and normally we come to you with all latest development. First, let's take into Egypt. Let's check into the northern part of Africa. Egypt is a very important continent on Africa because it is a very important country on the continent of Africa. In fact, it is an intercontinental country. Maybe some part of Egypt is actually in the Middle East, that is part of Asia, and a little of it is actually in the Middle East, while a bulk number of Egypt is actually in the northern part of Africa. But we all know how strong Egypt is and how famous it was, and it is still famous because of the Egyptology that is normally taking place over there. Is a study about Egypt, and we all know how important their pharaohs are. Tourists normally get there to see. Unfortunately, Egypt history have not just been too good down the line. It has had a series of confrontation among the neighbors, especially the war that is taking place between Israel and Gaza. Egypt, there is a spilling effect on Egypt because they have a kind of direct route line, and even if the UN, Red Crossers and other people want to supply foodstuff to the people of Gaza, the 2.3 million people, they have to use that free route line. And it is actually be suffering, and initially Egypt never wanted to even let those people into her own territory. But she has little or no option, And Egypt is also having series of confrontation in the Sinai Mountain. All of those things are there. When you watch at North Africa, Egypt are definitely be involved over there. Unfortunately, during the Arab uprising, Egypt's political strongman Hosni Mubarak fell. And when he fell, he resigned, although he's no longer alive today. We also realized that the controversial, unpredictable, and maybe Sharia mental oriented Muslim Brotherhood, Mohammed Morsi, was elected. A demonstration was led against his person and especially his government, which resulted into the arrest of Morsi, and his Muslim Brotherhood party was actually disbanded. Then we have Abdul Afal Tassisi came into power, but he got the backing of the United States, and the United States spent over $1 billion on Egypt's military every year to ensure that the military is being fortified, because Egypt is one of the strongest allies of the United States in both North Africa and part of the Middle East. Now, Al-Sisi is seeking a third term in office. There is outcry into Egypt because when he was being elected into office initially, people had that ambition, people had that trust, people had that belief. They believed that, oh, Al-Sisi will definitely try to maybe reinstall the glory of the Egyptians, maybe foster peace and development. Although, arguably, some people will tell you that he has done a lot. He has managed maybe to create a new capital, expose Egypt, maybe make Egypt what I can call, make Egypt politically stable compared to the controversial changes of regime. But far too long, the pounds of Egypt are falling below the expectation. Skyrocketing of goods and services is the order of the day, and we have seen series of demonstrations against the same president, Al-Sisi. And now that he's seeking the third time in office, people are actually disgruntled. Is he the savior that we want to see? Was he the one that we actually elected? Did he actually live up to our expectation? Then you will start to wonder, why did the US and other international bodies supported the fall of Mohammed Morsi? Morsi also lost his life while he was in prison. And unfortunately, he could not even be tried. He was being in prison because he did not get a fair trial, and he was definitely forgotten. So a lot of things are actually happening around the land of Egypt. But now, Egyptians will definitely head to the poll next week, but it's a very deep divided one. Some people are disgruntled, some people think and feel that maybe the social contract Al-Sisi signed with them did not actually work. And Egypt is, I can tell you, in fact, South Sudanese Arab today are Egyptians. Because when you have this guy, Muhammad Ali, who was the king by then, or the ruler of Egypt, he was the one that sent the Egyptian army to go and seek for gold into South Sudan. South Sudan means, or Sudanese in essence in Arab language means black people. But when the Egyptians army went, they could not see the slaves that they went for. They did not get slaves, and they did not get the diamond that they actually sought out to get. At the end of the day, or gold. They decided to establish themselves into South Sudan or into North Sudan. That resulted into a black nation having a breed of Arab, which is definitely creating issues over there. But that is not exactly what we are watching at. Now, Sisi is running for a third time. People are disgruntled. So we start to wonder, is Africa actually living up to expectations? Maybe is Al-Sisi the only man that can lead Egypt? What must he be seeking a third time? And why was the like of Hosni Mubarak overthrown? Through the Arab uprising. The North African countries, are they familiar actually with democracy? Can democracy reign into North Africa? These key questions is running into your mind. To me, it is absolutely a black no. Because when you watch at it, maybe people will argue that the North was without good governance. It depends what you call good governance. But these people were being served or led by benevolent dictators. We watch like the like of the like of the like of Gaddafi, who is no longer alive today. He was a benevolent dictator. Gaddafi was a benevolent dictator, and all of those things, he did a lot. He really did a lot to ensure that they have a government of national unity. Although anybody who set eyes on the power of Libya by then, you could be a potential prey for Gaddafi. But he served the country, redefined and made Tripoli to be one of the richest capital on the continent, and also created Libya in a spectacular wealthy position. The like of Mubarak was on the hem of affairs of Egypt over 20-something years. Egypt's economy was stable. And in the north, virtually the north were far better than the east and West Africa. Maybe some Southern African countries are better. But since the Obama-led Arab uprising with the intention that they should force democracy on those people, we saw their economy dropping. And maybe it would have been better if they had been left so. It would have been better had they been left so. Because almost everything that is now happening today is backwardness, is retrogression. Since 2011 Arab uprising, no North African country is definitely peaceful. Or maybe some people will say Tunisia, after the fall of Ben Ali, maybe is the most stable democracy. But when Kai Said came in 2019, politically unknown, a law professor who came and accused almost everybody who served in those positions. Let me just say, he came and accused the predecessors of being politically motivated with corruption. He sacked the parliament, crippled the executive, and appointed yes men into his judiciary. And he is like a one-man rule. He ruled by decree. I wonder what exactly is happening into the north. Of course, full of hate speech. He has been motivating Tunisians to stand up against black Africans. And after that, he wants to steal the show by stealing the limelight, to behave as if he's prosecuting those who have been serving like those who are with xenophobic mentality. So it's a very sad event, and Africa is definitely falling down the rail. I think we need a change of philosophy. We need practical attitude. We need people who can stand for the fort of Africa. We don't need people who have the divide and rule system. We don't need people who can facilitate chaos, people who motivate pandemonium, people who create havoc into our society. And we don't need leaders who think and feel that without them, no other person is fit or got the right to rule. They are not the only persons. We have people who are well calculated, educated enough, with astute mentality to lead the country as they are. If you have led for 2 terms and your time is expired, it is high time you quit it. Unfortunately, they don't quit. Say, if you don't quit power, power will quit you one day. That is exactly what is happening today. Now, Alpha Sisi is no longer being seen. Look like the longest serving president of Algeria, Abdelaziz Bouteflika, what he did. Abdelaziz Bouteflika almost was so ill with stroke until he lost his life. So we are seeing these things. It's like saying that Africans, you only have people who are genius to lead. In fact, normally, we have people who are equally excellent to handle our affairs. But if you don't give them the platform, It is like if I went for an interview and you asked me to give me job experience. How would I give you a job experience if I had not been given the opportunity to act in the capacity of somebody who is working? So you can't ask for that. This is a very sad event. Let's see what happens next week. But people are actually disgruntled and think and feel that Alpha CC should definitely not go for another third time in office. But as I speak, he's certain to win because the opposition is a crippled one. He doesn't have any strong opposition against the person. So he's certain to win, trust me. He will win a landslide victory. Nothing will become his obstacle. He could even win over 90%, trust me. There's nothing. By next week, I would even expect the election to be long. He's definitely set to win a 90% landslide victory. Let's see. In the DRC, Democratic Republic of Congo, the president of Democratic Republic of Congo, Felix Tshisekedi, the son of deceased and former opposition leader Etienne Tshisekedi, who succeeded Joseph Kabila some years back, has accused his Uganda counterpart, Paul Kagame, of being the Hitler of our nowadays. He described him as Abdul Hitler. He claimed that he is the one that is supporting the M23 Tutsi-led rebel group into his country, and he wants to create chaotic situation. However, the Rwandan government spokesperson retaliated by saying on X, or formerly known as Twitter, that it is loud and clear that the statement is a threat. But according to Tshisekedi, he said Paul Kagame has met his match and is not willing to withdraw. He's actually seeking a second term in office. World should know that maybe based on international observers' report, it was alleged in his election that he won 5 years back that particular election was won by opposition leader Mountain Fayula. But because of Joseph Kabila interventions into the election and the failure of Fayula to get the support of the Catholic, landed Tshisekedi into power. And prior to this time, Tshisekedi or the Tshisekedis were popular enemies of the Kabilas. But as the saying goes, in politics, there is permanent interest, but there is no permanent enemy. If you can see today, Raila Odinga became the best friend of Uhuru Kenyatta when those guys fought bitter battle among themselves. But just because Uhuru Kenyatta fell out with William Ruto, the current president of Democratic Republic of Congo, Uhuru had little or no option other than to support Raila Odinga. And we also had and witnessed on cameras when poor Robert Mugabe, who once described Morgan Tangorai, that is the opposition leader for the movement for democratic change in Uganda by then, in Zimbabwe, who is no longer alive. He described him as a black man with a white man hat, and he will never be alive when the MDC will definitely leave Zimbabwe. But when Nelson Chamisa took over by then, this guy, Morgan Tangorai, who was the opposition leader, got sick. So still we shamefully, Robert Gabriel Mugabe last vote before he dismissed, he voted for the MDC, the Movement for Democratic Change. Then the ill opposition leader by then even blamed Emerson Mnangagwa, known as the crocodile, for failing to live to the expectation of democracy and a violator of the same democracy that he came to reinstall by not involving him in to governance. So you see the pride. And I think he once became a prime minister of Robert Gabriel Mugabe when he won the election controversially through demonstration whatsoever thing. So he was forced to form the government of national unity, although he was somehow restricted from acting. And we have listened and witnessed the like of Tendai Biti, who is very popular opposition leader in Zimbabwe, has several times been arrested. Now, those two leaders are accusing themselves in Democratic Republic of Congo. One describing the other as a threat, a warmonger who believes in the war. And the other one describing Paul Kagame as Adolf Hitler. And Hitler actually met his demise in 1945. And he was widely known of executing 6 million Jewish people. That is popularly known as the Holocaust. And those events happened in World War II, so everybody is very skeptical. And if you just get up and maybe term or describe or maintain that a colleague or your counterpart is a person like that, I think it's a weird news and it calls for concern. I think Africa really need to understand, because should Etienne Piles Kita get become elected, things will still split over. So I think be him the person elect at the end of the day or not elected, there is a need for the issue in the Democratic Republic of Congo to be resolved urgently, as in the end of to create series of chaotic issues. So that coming to the son of Somalia president has been ordered, or a warrant of arrest have been issued against this person. He was actually in Turkey and in Istanbul, the capital city of Turkey, or the former capital city of Turkey, because now it's Ankara. He was accused of having overrun somebody who's a motorbike rider, and he couldn't die on the spot. He was taken to the hospital. On the initial police investigation, there was a claim that the bike rider was actually at fault. But on another CCTV footage that was being released, it was noticed that it is the president's son that was actually at fault. But initially he was granted bail. So by the time the full CCTV camera evidence could come out, he left the country. And now the Turkish government is seeking for his extradition to face prosecution because he has killed a Turkish citizen. Turkey is asking for that. So, but he has yet to comment, or he's yet to comment. And they haven't also heard from the presidency, although maybe he was there on diplomatic missions, on whatsoever thing. So we will see what will happen. But funnily enough, this tells us that there's nobody maybe above law in the Western world. Maybe if you are in Africa, he could be a free man. We are just giving you a few bags of rice and cash, and nobody will dare prosecuting him. They will all learn to accept their fate. And somebody will even say, maybe if he were alive, I wouldn't have gotten this money. So sometimes when some people are lost their life, it's very beneficial for others. I think that is how they could have turned it. Unfortunately, he's facing prosecution over there. Finally, Uganda prison balls has been sanctioned by the United States of America. Some people in Democratic Republic of Congo, others in the like of Rwanda, of Democratic Republic of Congo. Those rebels group are actually leaders have actually been sanctioned, and even the mayor of Monrovia, Jefferson Koji, is also on the list. The United States even accusing the mayor Jefferson Koji under the CDC. Maybe I don't know whether he was the one elected again. Jefferson Koji, something like that. He has been placed on the United States watch list, and they have actually sanctioned him because according to the press release, he formed actually what they call like a paramilitary type of group, like that used to terrorize people within the capital city Monrovia. Maybe he could also be accused of those maybe strange or rituals killings that were actually happening. So Jefferson Korji, as I speak, is a Liberian. He was a city mayor. Maybe he's the one still, I don't know now. Maybe he could be the one still elected, but under the CDC political party in Monrovia. He has definitely been placed on the United Nations, the United States sanction list. And I speak, he does not have the automated right to go to America or the United States. He is going to be arrested, placed under investigation or prosecution for human rights abuse. He is widely being accused by the United States of perpetually violating the human rights laws during the regime of President George Mana Oponweya, who lost the election. Now they lost the election to Joseph Numa Boakai, but the election is a clear indication that Liberia is a deeply polarized country, and also it gives George Weah the solid foundation that he could even come back and rule for another 2 terms in office. You could make him one of the few presidents on the continent like Nigeria who have successfully ruled for maybe 3 terms in office, when in actual fact, had they completed their first and second time, they wouldn't have been qualified by norms. Thank you. It's been me, Focus on Liberia, West African correspondent, Edward Amara, coming to you with the latest development on the continent. Join me tomorrow, same time, same space, for more news on the continent. Good night.